Welcome to Loving Out Loud, how to improve communication, sustain sexual passion, and create lasting love relationships. My name is Paula Smith, and I'm your summit host. Loving Out Loud is about loving fiercely and showing up in a different way to create a new reality, one that allows you to access your deepest truths and desires. No matter where you are in the love and life cycle, Loving Out Loud is a prescription for awakening your heart, your mind, and your body to a deeper consciousness and a more authentic and intentional self-expression. Welcome to Loving Out Loud. My guest today on Loving Out Loud is Marcy Neumann. Marcy is the president of Heartlights Incorporated, and she began her long and illustrious career in the early 1970s. Since that time, Marcy has been in the self-help and people-helping industry, utilizing many modalities within the framework of conventional medicine and non-traditional methods of healing. Marcy focuses on self-love for physical, mental, and emotional healing, and letting go to let in heart shift coaching. Marcy has recently released her new book, The Little Seed That Would. Marcy creates life-changing products and programs that are inspirational, motivational, and transformational in their approach to personal empowerment through self-love and self-awareness, and considers this to be her purpose and loving service to all of humanity. This is our recent conversation. So, so I'd like to welcome Marcy Neumann to Loving Out Loud. Welcome, Marcy.
Thank you so much, Paula. I'm so happy to be here.
Yeah, me too. It's such a pleasure getting to know you over these last few days.
Yes,
I love doing summits because I get to meet really, really great people, and you're
I
one of
know.
them. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, so let me just give our viewing audience just a brief part of your bio, okay? So Marcy Neumann began her long and illustrious career as an RN. Are you ordained as well, Marcy?
Yes, I am.
Oh,
Yep.
okay. As a reverend and energy healer back in the early 70s. And since that time, she's been in self-help and people helping industry utilizing many modalities within a framework of conventional medicine and non-traditional methods of healing. In addition, she was instrumental in creating a number of specialized programs around Long Island for hospitals, hospice, and other facilities supporting people in making changes for healthier, happier, and more fulfilling life. In 2001, Marcy began her very successful private coaching and spiritual counseling practice, which focuses on self. I love the spelling of this. CELLPH, self-love for physical, mental, and emotional healing, letting go to let in the heart shift coaching. And Marcy has recently released her new book, The Little Seed That Would, an inspirational storybook for adults that focuses on discovering the answers within through the journey of Little Seed. In addition, she's co-authored How Did You Do That? With other greats in her industry such as Victor Hansen and Barbara DeAngelis. Marcy, welcome to Loving Out Loud. So,
Thank you so much,
you're
Paula.
very
Really,
welcome.
thank you for having me.
It's my pleasure. Marcy, I was fascinated with your program on forgiveness. We spoke a little bit about it, right? So, my first question for you, well, before I get to that, you're known as the heart shift coach. So, can you tell us what is heart shifting?
Excuse me. Heart shifting is actually the process by which we change the energy. We actually shift the energy of the heart so that it can open up to receive new life. You see, the heart is what emits the energy, the frequency that you're actually living in. It creates the reality of your world. And so, in order to have a new world come in order for you to have all the things that you actually want in your life, you need to shift that vibrational frequency. And so, heart shifting is that process of doing so.
And so, Marcy, how did you become an expert in these teachings?
Well, what I realized, and as you know from my bio, I've been in this work now for over 40 years. I've worked with a lot of people all around the world. And what I realized was that the present day teachings about changing your thoughts in order to change your things, change your life, just were falling short for every single person. And so I realized there was something more than that. And when I looked back at my own life and the changes that I had made, I realized that in order for me to change my thoughts, in reality, I needed to change my heart first, because otherwise the thoughts didn't really belong to me. They were just words that I was repeating to myself and sort of clinging to, but they weren't reaching my heart. And so I realized that what was the essential part is that you have to change your heart first, and then your thoughts just follow. And then the miracles really start to happen.
Right. Beautiful. That's really beautiful. So, Marcy, how does this relate to having a loving relationship?
It's impossible to have a loving relationship unless you actually have shifted that energy of your heart. And you spoke just a moment ago about my forgiveness program. And what I have found is that forgiveness really is the key. Because we all, regardless of whether we're aware of it, consciously or not, we carry baggage with us. And that baggage is the accumulation of the actual toxins from traumatic events that have happened in our lives. And so we've had other relationships with people, even from the time we were small children. And they have either accumulated energy that has fed us positively or energy that has caused us to actually change our opinion of ourselves. And that's really so toxic, because if there's trauma involved, very often we take on this belief system that there's something wrong with us. And so the forgiveness program that I've created is one that deals with that. It deals with the toxins from the thoughts and emotions that we've accumulated from past experiences that have actually kept us small and separate from experiencing life the way we want it to be.
Beautiful. So I'm wondering, I know that there's those in our viewing audience that may say, well, what if something is unforgivable, right? So how do you get past that?
Well, I'll tell you something, Paula. What is unforgivable to one person may not be unforgivable to another. However, we do know that there are traumatic effects of many incidences which seem to be unforgivable. And what I do is I actually, in this process that I've created, we take the focus off of what has happened, and instead we focus on the results, what has happened to us within ourselves, our innermost core, what's happened to our own beliefs about ourselves. And then that's what we put our focus on. So the focus is not on trying to forget the incident, not at all. The focus is in letting go of the traumatic effects that it's had on us.
That makes sense. So let's say something happened to me as a child, and as a result, I believed about myself that I wasn't enough. So perhaps you would take that statement, I'm not enough, and help me to change that belief about myself. Is that correct?
Correct.
Mm.
And by the way, when you said that, I got what I call God bumps,
God bumps.
because that so often is so much of the issue. These things have happened to us as children.
Hmm.
And one of the things that we need to realize, that because it happened as a child, we're still looking at it through the eyes of that child,
Right.
but we're no longer a child.
Right.
So we can move forward and we can begin to look at it through the eyes of an adult who's had many more experiences,
Hmm.
who has gained tremendous wisdom, tremendous insight, and also tools for working with these things that help us to heal and to let go
Hmm.
of that belief that was created when we were children.
Right.
That's what needs to be let go of.
Right. Makes sense. So, how can forgiving a past hurt from a past love affect my current relationship or future relationships? Do you get that question?
All right, now this is really the interesting.
Okay.
Yes, the interesting part is this. Remember, I said that as children, we start then to carry that whole thought process through our adult lives because we're still looking at it from that child's view.
Right.
What that really means, Paula, is that we've created a lens through which we're looking at the entire world. And those lenses actually determine how we are perceiving everything in our lives. So, in fact, it impacts not just maybe one incident in our life that is similar, it impacts how we look at the world across the board. And so that lens has to be changed.
Hmm.
And until we do, we will carry it from relationship to relationship to relationship. So we have to actually change the prescription
Right.
through which we're looking at the entire world.
Right. That makes a lot of sense. Yeah. Right. I mean, I've had situations in relationships where I would project, old feelings, old belief systems on
Right,
partners because it felt so real to me. Because the feelings were inside and I was still pretty tender and fragile around it, and my
right.
prescription hadn't changed yet. Until I was able to go a little deeper into that hurt place.
Well, you're right, Paula. But
Mm.
what that required from you was an awareness that that's what you were doing.
Right,
And that's
right.
part of the heart shifting process and the
Mm.
forgiveness process. You
Hmm.
have to first develop the awareness that you are projecting. You're projecting your own fears,
Right.
you're projecting your own experiences, and worse, you're projecting your own expectations.
Right.
And so what happens is we actually create this very convoluted situation where even if the person doesn't fulfill that expectation
Hmm.
in a negative way, we're still disappointed.
Right, right. Oh, I can
So
relate.
we have to let go.
We have to let go, or else we're
Yeah,
in for a lifetime of disappointment. Right.
exactly. And you know what, Paula? That's also why we see people in our practices who have just a whole pattern of the same sort of relationship over and over and over again. And that's because, number one, the energy that they are emitting is of the same frequency. So they can only attract from that frequency another person who has the same issues or who's going to provide an opportunity to work through the issues.
Right.
So
Yeah.
when we want to break that pattern of behavior, self-destructive relationships, we need to begin within ourselves. It's the
Yes.
only place where change can take place.
Right. So, what can a person expect after they fully or successfully forgive?
Oh my gosh, I have seen such incredible miracles, from spontaneous healing of chronic illness to a whole new world opening up that they could never have imagined. And by the way, I'm in that category. You know, I had this epiphany a number of years ago. During this time where I thought that I was living the most idyllic life. I had everything and anyone could ever imagine. I had been married for 25 years. I saw myself as very happy, 4 kids, very much on their way, a very affluent life. And I was away on a family vacation, and I was in Montana, and I'd always had this really strong affinity to the Native American. And so I was at a party, and there was an authentic teepee in the backyard. And so I snuck out and went into the teepee, and immediately I just felt this incredible connection. And I pulled back the ceiling flaps, and it was like the whole sky just flooded the inside of the teepee. And I was compelled, I just sort of lied down on the rugs that were inside, and I started to make this very lengthy gratitude list. I had everything and anything anyone could ever imagine and want, and all of a sudden, like a ticker tape across my mind's eye, it said, "How much longer do I have to do this, Lord?" Well, I bolted upright, I got nauseous, and I ran outside and I vomited in the bushes. And in that moment, Paul, I realized that I had been repressing something really deep for a long time. And I went back to Long Island, where I was living at the time, and I started to unravel just all of that. And I realized, first and foremost, that there was so little of my authentic self in my life. I had given up so many parts of myself that it was like I was living behind a mask. I also realized that I was living life through everybody else's eyes, how they wanted me to be, who they wanted me to be. And I also realized that I was so unhappy in my marriage, even though there were people who came to us for advice.
Wow.
And I realized I had been living this facade of a life for a long, long time. And I started to put my spirit in the forefront of my life. And I asked my spirit what was the best for me. And when I started to do that, it caused a lot of havoc. In fact, it caused crisis in other people's lives because they weren't accustomed to that, to my new direction and the forthrightness of my spirit. And to make a long story short, I ended up leaving behind nearly everything that had defined me for almost 30 years. I left everything, my marriage, my home, my community, my friends, everything that would not allow me to grow and to be a full expression of who I was. I knew I had to give myself almost a cocoon so that I could get stronger and really connect with that. But what I did, the most miraculous thing happened, because I had chronic illnesses that I had been dealing with for years. I had arthritis so bad I wouldn't be able to get up out of my chair. I had digestive problems, constant headaches, and I used to have panic attacks. It would wake me in the middle of the night, and they all had the same theme. I couldn't find my wedding ring.
Wow.
I ignored them.
Wow.
I thought, oh, just bad dreams, recurrent nightmares, right? Wow. But do you know, when I started to really put my spirit in the forefront, they all disappeared. They all disappeared. And I became this picture of health. And not only that, I started to open up to receive the gifts that Spirit had waiting for me. And those were my self-love, self-help, health and wellness program. It started pouring through me. I had visions of products and programs to help other people to manifest love and relationship changes and prosperity and abundance and all of these things. And I started to just put one foot forward every single day, only in alignment with my spirit. And within 5 months, I had 6 products on the market. I had written self-love, the program, the teaching manual, my student manual. I had started doing things that I couldn't even imagine would be part of my life just 6 months before that. And that's what I'm talking about. When you get in alignment with your spirit, there's a world that opens up that you can't even imagine from where you are now, because the vibrational frequency is so different. It's not in that room. You can't see it. And that's what Spirit has waiting for each and every one of us.
Wow. Marcy, congratulations. I did not know that about you.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
Absolutely amazing. Congratulations. Wow.
Thank you.
It sounded
Thank
like you really got free.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that is such a key word that you just used. Because when you ask, what can people expect? It's freedom.
Yeah. Yeah.
Freedom from everything that has been oppressing them, some of which they don't even know.
Right.
But it's that freedom that really sets us free to allow all that's waiting for us to come in.
Wonderful. Is there something that our listening audience, well, not listening, their viewing audience, our viewing
Right.
audience can do now to be able to feel this sense of relief?
Yes. And this is one of my favorite things that I do with my clients, and it has incredible results very quickly. I'd like each and every person, excuse me, listening to this, watching us, to get themselves a journal and to write on the front of it, Love Journal. And from here on in, every single day, start to become a love detective. So you see yourself in your detective hat, and get your little notebook, your pad, your pen, and you go about your day making notes about all the things that make you feel good. They make your heart sing. Maybe it's a conversation with someone. Maybe it's a song that you heard. Maybe it's the way the sun is shining through the trees. Maybe it's that you suddenly noticed something so sweet that a child is doing. Whatever it is, you jot it down. And at the end of each day, you read through it, and you give yourself even just 5 minutes of feeling it, recapturing those moments. Close your eyes, maybe put some soft music on, but take just a few moments, recapture the feeling that caught your attention during your day. And you are anchoring that in. You're embedding that within the cells of your body. And then the next day you do the same thing and the same thing. And I guarantee, after 7 days, you will have shifted your vibrational frequency. You will start to notice that your lists are getting very long every single day, because you're drawing more and more and more of those things not only into your life, but you're creating an awareness. And that's what we spoke about earlier on. It's the awareness that's so important, because then you'll also be able to feel when you're out of that alignment. We are meant to live lives that are happy and healthy and whole. But you need that awareness so that you know what you can do to feed your happiness, feed your health, and feed your wholeness. Because then you can spend all of your days doing exactly that, feeding the gain that you want in your life instead of feeding the pain.
Right. That is a true testament, Marcy, to loving out loud.
Yes,
Which is
it
the name
is.
of this summit, right?
Yeah.
Wonderful. So, I know there are members in our viewing audience that would like to reach you. How might they do that?
Well, my website is www.marcyneumann.com. So it's marcyneumann.com, and it's jam-packed, filled with lots of free information, because I believe that people need a place to start. And I know for myself, there's nothing more frustrating than going to a website that doesn't have what I'm looking for. And so there is content there. And, areas where I'm talking about forgiveness, letting go to let in, heart shifting, what it is that you really need in order to begin right here and now to create changes that are so essential in your life. And not from my point of view, but yours. You know what you need, and you also know what you want. And so whatever it is, it'll jump right out at you. There's also some, free courses and all sorts of things. And then, of course, there's my shop, where I have all of those incredible manifestation products that I've created that are there waiting for you as well, to give you the tools that you need. I say they're like training wheels for manifestation, because each one of them actually takes you through the process of raising your vibrational frequency, but giving you a lot of fun and activity to do in the meantime. And, they can email me. I'm happy to answer questions. And one thing that I like to do is make myself available as much as possible, because number one, it's the greatest pleasure of my life. And number two, I know that I'm here to be of service.
Beautiful. And you can also find Marcy's information right below this videotape as well. Her free gift, as well as her biographical information. Okay.
Right.
So, Marcy, do you have? I'm sorry.
No, and by the way, I was just going to say, I actually am offering 3 free gifts.
Okay. Great.
Yes.
Great. Thank you for that.
You're welcome.
Is there a parting message you'd like to leave us with?
Yes. That is that no matter where you are in your life, I want you to remember that it's temporary. It's temporary because at any moment, and particularly when we're talking about in the world of spirit, it's any second that you choose, you can change everything, as long as you have the tools to do it. And so your job is to begin to determine exactly what it is that you want, and to know that the moment that you do that, the entire universe is conspiring to help to deliver it. And so as long as you stay in alignment, stay loyal to yourself and what it is that you want, you won't have to worry about how, because the universe will provide all of that information for you. It'll deliver it right to your doorstep. So just make the choice. Make the choice right here and right now that you want something and you deserve it, and the universe agrees with you.
Thank you. Heart shift expert Marcy Neumann. Thank you so much.
My greatest pleasure. Thank you, Paula. It's been such a pleasure.
Such a pleasure. And I'm Paula Smith. I'm the host, the summit host of Loving Out Loud. And once again, Marcy, thank you for joining us. Your message has been very, very powerful, and I so appreciate getting to know you and getting to know your work a little more. Thank you so much.
Many blessings to you, and of course to all of our audience. Thank you.